Hey, my name's Jeff Adams. This is Hercules. We're gonna take you on a little adventure and show you what it's like to be a man, be a badass motherfucker, operate like a pit, how to shoot, austere medicine, all that good shit. And I'm guaranteed to offend you. I got attention deficit. Oh, a squirrel. Hey, ADOS is a thing. Damn squirrels go everywhere. I also got minor Tourette syndrome, so if I tell you to fuck off, don't take it personally, but fuck off. I'll show you how to live in the mountains at 9,000 feet elevation. Check it out. I'm gonna take you down in the valley and show you my cabin and my land. Take special notice of that standalone rock out there and the cabin at the base of it. No, my flag's not backwards, but if we're gonna start off every video, we need to do it right. Gotta have some stuff. This is Grizzly, and I will shamelessly plug everything out there. Now, like most Grizzly guys, I'm a Copenhagen man, but because of prices and product markups, I have to save my Copenhagen for holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas. In the meantime, I'm just chewing Grizzly. Now, Grizzly's only half of the equation. I'm gonna throw a pinch in, duck her to bed with my tongue. You'll see a bunch of this shit in my beard later on. The other part of the equation, my energy drink. The reason I like this guy so much is because, one, being a former Special Forces medic, that's 16 ounces of fluid. Not to mention my V vitamins and my caffeine. So, when you're up at elevation, it's important that you hydrate. So don't get the little 5-hour energy shots. Get these guys. And certainly don't have this until you've enjoyed the pleasure of a nice cup of coffee. I strongly prefer Day Espresso Libre or Black Rifle coffee. Guaranteed to put hair on your back. Hey, Hercules, what you doing? Hey, I'm a Ford guy, but you'll see later in some of these videos, like right now, I do drive a Tacoma. Why, Herc? I'll tell you why. Because everywhere we go, in foreign countries, one thing is in common. Everybody's got Toyotas, but you're not gonna see Fords and Chevys and Dodges, Chryslers, GMCs, things like that. You just don't see them. So what we do is we have a Tacoma. This is the platform that we fall in on when we deploy, or we bring with us. Easily modifiable. Bring your kit, suspension, lockers, winch, armor. Bring it all in the country. Rent you a Hilux, slap that shit on, and you're ready to operate. Ain't that right, Herc? Herc? Huh? Look, what? Hey. 11-mile reservoir, water's calm. As we go on this cool little journey, one of the things I want to mention is living off grid. And I'm going to squirrel all over it on you, so just screw it. But let me show you the entry to my 40 acres. Whenever I show up, I come out, getting ready to put some fence posts in. And one of the things I like to do is put a game camera right at my entry. The reason I do that, quite simple. Lets me know when people come and go and I'm not here. So We'll go snap that on. See who my visitors have been. And do inventory of all my stuff. Hey Herc, come here. Come on, get in there. Boy, makes you want to buy yourself a little. They're empty. Interiors, plumbing, electrical. Cabins or barns or structures on your property. We plan on repurposing all that wood. Whenever you can afford it, get some insulation. And then what you're going to do is you're going to utilize that old barn wood to make yourself walls covering that insulation up. And you'll end up with something that looks like that. And let's see here. It's daylight and it's still dark in here. So I'm going to put a window in here next. Got to keep your kit ready to go. That's one grandpa, 10th Mountain, Winter Warrior. That's my other grandpa. He's an E2 with the Combat Infantryman's badge. He's got one service stripe, but he's got 4 combat stripes. This guy right here, B-24 bomber pilot. I've got his flight log. Shot down 3 times. Over Germany, Austria, and Italy. Once again, that were your pedigree. So I got land, put up a couple shelters. Now I need to think about water. Well, I got tired of filling up jugs and running them from town out here to the country. So the next best option, I put in a well with a solar soft pump system. And what I do is I take that line, I've insulated it, buried it, back to my shelter, and I also run a insulated extension cord as far as my generator will get it, which is not quite the shelter, but I've got enough storage containers, 7-gallon storage containers to keep plenty of fluid inside there. And when I run out, I can either hook this up to my solar, and that's letting the cat out of the bag. Don't make me squirrel off onto my solar, I'll show you that here in a bit. But or I'll run it to my generator. And now I've got water from the Rockies, guaranteed pure, the Navion. I went to Harbor Freight and I picked up this triple panel, solar panel that puts out 45 watts, and I did 2 of them. I'll show you the kit in a second. This is the setup on the inside of my solar kit. As you can see, I've got my inverter. Right now it's hooked up to an iPhone case, which is what you're watching me on. I've got my charge output with cigarette lighters, and these 2 go to a lighting system that provides all the light I need at night, and then as well as charging up all my cordless kits, my DeWalt rigid contractor kits, Dremel kits, my high output headlamps, rhinos for backup communications. Another thing, if you get a battery, don't get a car battery. This is a 12-volt system, but it's a slow charge battery. The reason for that is because you don't want a quick charge car battery. They're designed to put out a lot of power in a short burst and then recharge. This battery here is designed to output plenty of amps at the same time. Oh, what the fuck am I trying to say? Alright, so it lets you use electricity all day long versus just kicking up a starter and soloing out on a vehicle. That's what I meant to say. Cool thing about solar is it's like cash in a bank. It's a cash account. meaning you can't use more than you have, and the more you gain from your solar panels, if you don't use it, it's lost. So during the day, like right now, hours of daylight are decreased because it's coming up on winter time, but you want to charge all your stuff during the day and give yourself a couple hours left over to finish charging your batteries to be able to operate your interior lights for a few hours at night. Hey, the next thing you're gonna need is fire, heat source. So we got water. Doesn't even need to be purified, actually. That water, I've been drinking it for months on end, and you know, no loose stools or anything along those lines. Tested it. I didn't come back with anything. I tried the purification process, but it was completely unnecessary. Remember, I'm close to 9,000 feet elevation, so there's not much room for contaminants. There's no industry next to me, and most wild animals, well, they'll piss and shit downstream. But as far as fireplace goes, a lot of the stuff I get, like the wood behind me, is all repurposed stuff. So what I did was, I got an old antique stove. Here, I'll show it to you. I got this from a thrift store. I put concrete wonderboard behind it, and all I do is go out and cook or chop some wood. I'll pile my wood up right there. Extra newspaper, some lighter fluid. Now every morning I get up, I crank old Sparky up here, and then at bedtime I do it once again, twice a day. Once so it's warm when I go to sleep. Second, it needs to be warm when I have that good coffee. That's the National Forest right there. As you can see, I put my cabin up just outside of the National Forest, and as a result I get a lot of wind. But what you do is you end up putting out several windbreaks. I repurposed old logs and trees, took some of that barn scrap wood, and dug up dirt piles with rocks and concrete to lock it in place, and that protects my fire pit inside there from excessive wind. You can see my chimney flute outside my little cabin in my garage there. There's a reason trees don't grow on the prairie outside the mountain range. And that's just because of the wind. So what you're going to want to do is grab some old logs like this, and if you plant trees, this is some maple. Obviously all the trees, deciduous trees, have pretty much leaved for the year. So what I continue to do is bring well water, and I pour about 5 gallons a week of water into that with some fertilizer spikes and some healthy soil to help this grow come next spring. So when you're planting trees like this, you got to put this in mind. You plant your tree, make sure that you plan for watering it, its nutrients from the soil, and protecting it from wind and other elements that are out here. As every tree I've planted, I've had to erect something like this to, you know, support the tree. And even though I'm a gun bunny and a shooter and running off doing the occasional government contract, we all have a little tree hugger in us, and it's nice to know that I don't need Uncle Sam or a socialist government taking away my money, because I can sustain myself on my own.